love watching zombie movies. I love these movies because I innately understand what they represent. You have one main protagonist whose ultimate goal is to, of course, survive an apocalypse. She has to make decisions that may very well go against her own moral compass. And in many situations, she has to allow her primal instincts to take over, adopting the kill or be killed mantra. Of course, I'm talking about The Walking Dead, one of the best zombie movies / series of our time. However, Bones and All takes a different approach to the zombie movie. And yes, Bones and All, in my opinion, is a zombie movie. Instead of Maren and Lee fighting off zombies, they are the zombies. They are the monsters grappling with their own inner demons and using their love to navigate a perilous world and a cruel and foreboding country. Maren and Lee fall in love and discover a joyous connection that can not only help them survive the human apocalypse, but can help them truly understand and seek to overcome their darkest fears and their own nature. I'll explain how and why in this video, so please stay tuned. You probably guessed it, I am into some really dark shit. Although I'm not a big fan of cannibalism, and yes, Bones and All is an incredibly graphic film about cannibalism, I was infatuated with the characters. At first, I thought this movie was metaphorical for addictions or homosexuality, but when doing a deep dive, I came to understand what's really going on. This movie, like virtually all zombie movies, is about people working to overcome the darkest aspects of their nature.
You didn't. In the car in 3 minutes. Whatever you can take in 3 minutes. Go!
What does that mean? Well, it means that we as humans are capable of doing some really terrible stuff. It's not something that we're proud of. As a result of that, we don't really talk about it much. Yet, if we were to study the history books, we would find a litany of heinous acts committed by human beings. These offenders may claim that the voices in their head made them do it, which isn't entirely a bad excuse. After all, we have thousands upon thousands of years of our ancestors' memories encoded in our brains, so much so that they have become instinctual. And whenever we find ourselves in extreme situations of duress, famine, or even war, we rest on those instincts.
Whatever you and I got, it's got to be fed.
No.
Our instincts are a default setting that tells us that we must do what it takes to survive at all costs, that we must kill or be killed. And in the most extreme situations, we may have to nibble off some human flesh here and there. Okay, let it be known. Virtually all these behaviors are incredibly perverse. What do I mean by that? I mean that most people just aren't going to become cannibals. It simply goes against our nature. Unfortunately, some people do. And these are the people who adopt some of the most darkest aspects of human nature.
That if the circumstances is safe and good, then eat.
Now, we understand that diseases can run in the family line. That's why they're called dis-ease. We've come to acknowledge the fact that alcoholism and drug addiction is no longer a behavior, but a disease that can be passed down from one generation to another. Sadly, these diseases manifest from dark impulses that we inherited from our ancestors, and these diseases can bring out the worst in ourselves and also in other people. Lee and Maren describe their affliction as something that they need to survive. And much like an addiction, you need more and more of it to get the same high.
You're going to need it more and more and more and more. And you won't always be able to hold yourself back.
That is until you reach a rite of passage, where you just don't nibble off bits and pieces of human flesh. You eat the whole damn thing, bones and all. Addictions are hard enough. Add in abandonment, isolation, toxic shame, and you have a bona fide psychopath.
Oh, no, Missy, I came looking for you.
Do I know you?
Bones and All is seen through the lens of Maren and Lee, and all the characters are the realization of Maren's worst fears. Maren's father, a patient man who confesses that he stuck around more out of duty than love.
I can't do anything else either. Call the cops or whatever somebody might do in my place.
Abandons her when she turns 18. Facing feelings of rejection and needing some paternal love, Maren sets off to find her mother. Yet she runs into Sully, a fellow eater who claims that he only wants to show her the ropes. He strips down to his tighty-whities and proceeds to eat an elderly female host. Maren is reluctant, but eventually she succumbs. Yet the elderly host is another reflection of Maren's deepest and darkest fears. Her fears of being alone and worse, consumed by something or someone that is more perverse than she is. Maren, unlike Sally, is still very much a child. She is innocent and beautiful and doesn't want to be negatively impacted by a man like Sally. She runs off only to find another eater, a young man named Lee. Sparks fly and they agree to embark on a cross-country journey to find Maren's mother. However, on the way there, she runs into another creepy eater.
Hasn't had his full bones yet, but I reckon that's coming soon enough.
Full bones.
One who takes a great amount of joy and pride in what he does. He even has an apprentice sitting by his side while he gloats about all the people he consumed. Again, Maren is disgusted because the strange and creepy eater is yet another reflection of her own deepest and darkest fears. She fears that her affliction will totally consume her, causing her to become delusional about who and what she is and what she has to do to survive. Lastly, there is Maren's mother. She is orally medicated and locked away in an infirmary. She appeared to have gnawed off her hands. She mumbles, drooling and fidgeting as her daughter reads a letter she wrote almost 15 years ago. Maren is devastated. Her hopes of meeting a nurturing and caring mother are shattered. Instead, she comes across a woman who tries to devour her, bones and all. From this interaction, Maren accepts the fact that she is indeed a monster.
She could have stayed. She could have told me what I needed to know. About all of this, fuck, you know how different this would have been if I had one person on my side? One person to talk to?
Yet, unlike her mother and Sally and the weird, creepy guy from the watering hole, she can find love with Lee. The love that she has with Lee can balance the darker aspects of her own human nature, and she can be happy, truly happy with her boyfriend Lee. Only Sally comes in to ruin the day. Maren then understands that Lee can't be saved, so she eats him, bones and all. Maren consumes her boyfriend and thus destroys the only love and light that she needed to combat that inner darkness. And eventually she succumbs to her own fears and allows the darkness to totally consume her. This was another video essay by the Modern Mystic.